I'm reading recently Benedict's encyclical. He says in that encyclical, and he's quoting Paul VI, he says, justice is the minimum measure of charity, meaning that the first thing that you have to provide people with is justice. We can talk about charity after we talk about justice, because justice is the minimum measure. That's where we need to start living. In the meantime, earlier I was talking about this. Today I had to buy a spout for my kitchen, my bathroom sink. Wash my hands in. It came off. It popped off. So the water was shooting directly out. So I went across the street. There's a plumbing supply store, and I bought the old one that had deteriorated. And I walked in and I said, I need a new one of these. And he said, that's 30 years old. He said, they don't make it anymore. I said, yeah, I know, but they must have a plastic substitute. And he said, no, you have to replace the whole system. And I said, well, you mean I'm going to pay $60? And he said, yeah, you're going to have to pay $60. They don't make it anymore. And he's admitting that this is the way businesses function. And it's laughable to him. It is, he understands my burden. And I'm saying, no, all I need really is a plastic piece that will divert, it only has to be a couple of inches long, and it will divert the water down. And he's saying, yeah, they won't make it. And this is, in my estimation, this is anti-Catholic. To want money that badly, that you would steal from people in that way, that you would actually not make a simple replacement part that could be made. I mean, it's possible that I could make one on my own out of wood or something, but that they don't have an easy part to make for a couple of dollars and would rather have you replace an entire system. This is actually anti-Catholic. The notion of what work is for, of what decent, no one even knows what decent work is anymore. People are concerned with making the best wage that they can, almost at any cost. But to do some social good, to take a job in a country that is polluted, in a business that is polluting, and think, well, that's just fine as long as I get my paycheck. We are living outside the church if we're doing that. We're living outside the church unless our lives are in conformity with bringing people to a more just society, a society where they get, where they're decently housed and decently clothed and decently fed, and where there's. Earlier I was talking about the school situation where I have friends. You must have friends. In fact, you probably are. I don't have kids. I'm not married, so I don't. But my friends, they live in this city, but their kids go to school. They don't even go to school by their own house. The public school system, which at least used to create a community, a sort of larger family, where you knew people your entire life. At this point, kids compete. Grade school kids compete to get accepted into schools. This is destructive of the family. It's destructive of communities. And this is the city. I mean, how do we even begin to address that city? It is so pervasive that we're at the mercy of those sort of forces. And I suppose you live with it. And I don't know. It's the question of it's a daily question for us at this point. How do we bring that kind of issue to the church that cares so much about the centrality of the family? But have we begun to talk about this issue of a decent public education? And in a certain way, I feel like I benefited from that, and that was years ago. There's no one, everyone now talks about how good the school system was years ago. And years ago they didn't think the school system was so good. No one realized what a gift we had been given.
I think it's example of that's an example of how the church can work together. In New Orleans, there was a drug epidemic, and they were shooting up right outside churches, and guys passed out on the street, on the steps. And so some others got out there, and they said, "Yeah, we should do something about this." And they organized all the churches in that area, and they went to the council, and they went to the mayor, and they said, "We demand that you change this. And if you don't do it, we won't support you anymore. We won't vote for you. All candidates." They worked with the council, they worked with the mayor, and in about a year or two, that situation was almost gone. And that's what it says. Not just about empowerment of people working together. Catholic means universal. Catholics really work together. Catholics means we get out of the pews and do something. It's crap. And we have a lot of power if you use it.
But I think one of the concerns is being able to unite and mobilize people. There's this understanding of this awareness on people. It's like, well, if it doesn't impact me directly, it's okay, and it's not okay. So it's like it's how can we start sensitizing? Because I feel people are no longer sensible to other people's need, unless it happens in their own particular families. Now I care because it's my own, but then it's like
community anymore.
We don't have a sense of community.
Do what you do. I mean, I was raised, I was born right around here, and I knew, okay, that everybody was watching me. I mean, we've lost that. There's so much about just community that we've lost. I mean, Halloween to me is like, I see Halloween now and it's so foreign from what it was and what I grew up with as a kid, where like you went and you went to your neighbors, like now it's like you have to go to the businesses because people don't I mean, so we've just lost a big chunk of this idea of community. It's gone, and I think that because that's gone, we're not taking care of each other anymore. The idea of like, oh, my neighbor is sick, let me make them some soup and bring it over. Neighbor's sick, oh well, I ain't trying to catch what they got, It's gone. I'm sorry, bro.
If you really think about it deeply and thoroughly, the solution to all of these issues are not a change through the system, but rather a change of the whole system. Because when you have a system that, it's based on profit, and due to that profit, you have the consumption of natural resources that pollute the planet and endanger ecosystems, and all of that, and also that works on profit that affects healthcare and the health insurance systems and all sorts of aspects of our social lives and basically our humanity. It's a bad system when it focuses so much on the profit rather than the well-being of the other person or of ourselves as a community. It's a bad thing from the beginning. So we have to, like she was mentioning before, we have to come together, but not to make a change through the system, but actually change the system. So it's really difficult to think about it. How do you change a system that's been installed in this country, especially since its foundation? But that's what we have to do. Because if we keep trying to make changes through the system, it's just going to be patches. Not patches. We have to, in order to resolve something, you have to go to the root of that problem, and that's the root of the problem. We have a system, a society that bases everything on profit, nothing but profit. Think about the pharmaceutical system. In countries like Australia, we're not allowed to advertise medicine. Different companies, they're not allowed to, for example. So they're not allowed to make propaganda for their products, because if you think about it, here if there are no sick people, there's no business for them. So again, the whole concept of profit comes into hand. So the profit of people being sick is greater than the health of the people. So change of the system is what we need.
The system is intrinsically evil.